Hello, friend. We're going to take a look at the conflict between Israel and the Palestinian Authority, Hamas, to be more precise, and UFOs. They're in the news a lot. We're going to talk about that as well, and some other interesting comments about President Biden, the federal judiciary. We've got a lot on our plate. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance.
Welcome to the program, friend. Israel is being showered with rockets. Thankfully, the technology of the Iron Dome, the joint project between the U.S. and Israel, has taken at least 90% of them out of the sky before they hit Israel. Nevertheless, 10% have gotten through. There are a lot of casualties on both sides. Someone was asking me earlier, what is this all about? And I thought, okay, here is an excellent teaching opportunity for us to let Hamas speak in its own words. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and there are people that are in the Palestinian Authority that are also a part of Hamas. So you've got government, and then you have terrorists, and many people would argue that there are many terrorists in the government. So I'm going to read to you a couple of passages from Hamas's charter. The Islamic Resistance Movement is a distinguished Palestinian movement whose allegiance is to Allah and whose way of life is Islam. It strives to raise the banner of Allah over every inch of Palestine. Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it, just as it obliterated others before it. The land of Palestine is an Islamic waqf, that means holy possession, consecrated for future Muslim generations until Judgment Day. No one can renounce it or any part, or abandon it or any part of it. Palestine is an Islamic land. Since this is the case, the liberation of Palestine is an individual duty for every Muslim wherever he may be. The day the enemies usurp part of Muslim land, jihad becomes the individual duty of every Muslim. In the face of the Jews' usurpation, it is compulsory that the banner of jihad be raised. So, how can you have a peaceful negotiation with a group whose charter says that their mission is to obliterate you? Literally. Literally. I mean, we're reading their words. At least they're honest. I mean, I don't know that there's that much value in it, but this is Islam. And part of the mission of Islam is to take all of Palestine, and that means that the nation of Israel would have to be obliterated. And that is why, with the exception of Egypt, and there's some recent peace breaking out between Israel and some of her neighbors, there has been such violent, vitriolic hatred of the Jews. Because when Muhammad was here, when he was on this planet, he went to the Jews repeatedly that were in the Arabian Peninsula. He was illiterate, but he had the Old Testament read to him frequently. And he believed himself to be a prophet in the lineage of Moses and Joshua and John the Baptist. And he said to the Jews, "Your scriptures talk about me." He was delusional, obviously. And the Jews just laughed at him. They mocked him. They, with a handful of exceptions, they did not convert. This enraged Muhammad. And they would get the best of him in debates. This enraged him. And so as time went on and it became clear that the Jews were not going to receive him as a prophet of their own, or a prophet in the lineage of Moses and Abraham, he turned on them violently. And by the end of his life, he had killed or exiled almost every Jew on the Arabian Peninsula. And he said, do not leave two religions on the Arabian Peninsula, just before he died. So the Jews that were left ultimately were also driven out. So the animosity between Islam and Judaism is literally, it springs from the life and the words of Muhammad. It's just that simple. It is part and parcel of the Islamic faith. So what Hamas is talking about is spot on as far as the way that Muhammad taught Islam to his followers. I've got to take a break. We're going to talk about Joe Biden. We're going to talk about the economy and about the Christian school. We're going to focus on this one today and probably on the next program. The Christian college that is being told you will have transgender bathrooms, dorms, etc. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the program, friend. The tremors are beginning to be felt in our economy. It's hard for us who are live at this time with fiat money, with paper money. It's hard for us to get our head around the economics and what is happening. You have to remember that for a long time, the world anchor currency was the British pound, and it was based upon gold. Okay, it was a gold standard, and it was the currency of the world in many ways. That is no longer the case. The US dollar is the reserve currency of the world, but we're deficit spending like nobody in the history of the world. So I'm going to make a couple of suggestions when I'm done, but just to give you a little bit of perspective, we're now approaching 30 trillion in debt. That does not include unfunded mandates, okay? So that's just money that we have borrowed, either from ourselves or from foreign investors like the Chinese. A $30 trillion debt is not, you can't pay it back. I shouldn't laugh, but it's actually a funny number. These numbers are so astronomical, they can't be paid back. So knowing that, that would mean that the people who are sending out checks or trying to pass this massive bill for infrastructure, trillions of dollars, and then redefining infrastructure to be pre-K, universal pre-K. For the love of Pete, universal pre-K is what part of their infrastructure. Infrastructure used to mean bridges, roads, airports, things that we all have access to. That was infrastructure. Now Biden's people are redefining it, and they're wanting to spend trillions of dollars. These sums of money, debt of this size, there's never been a nation in the history of the world that has done this, ever. The reason that we've been able to get away with it this long is because the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world, and most of the nations of the world are operating on fiat money as well. Fiat means it is because we say it is. These green bills that we exchange with one another could be monopoly money. But as long as people trade with full faith and credit that when I take this dollar bill from you for whatever it is that I have that you want, when I take this dollar bill and I go and buy something from the next person, they're going to accept it. That's why the dollar continues to exist on a rudimentary level. We believe that the dollar has value and that it will continue to have value. But with all this money being printed and all this money being given away, and now President Biden is talking about giving every family $250 a month or per child. I mean, these numbers are flying around out there, basically making massive numbers of American people recipients of government debt. I would say government largesse, but it's not government largesse, it's government debt. They are enslaving us and our children and our grandchildren. I mean, at some point, either it's going to be paid back, or portions of it will be paid back, the interest, or we're just going to default. So what some economists are worried about is if another world currency emerges, if the Chinese and the Russians work together with, say, a really oil-rich nation in the Middle East or something, there's these different little negotiations going on where China wants to have the world reserve currency. And because their economy is so strong, because they manufacture so many goods for so many countries, if there was anybody that would be in a position to do it, it would be the Chinese. And make no bones about it, they are a hostile communist power. And ideologically, their government hates us, hates freedom of speech, hates freedom of religion, hates that we elect and unelect our officials, hates that we have so many armed citizens, the right, the Second Amendment right that we have. They despise that. And if China could topple the US dollar, they would. So, to come full circle back to the issue of inflation, as all this money is being pumped out into circulation, we're starting to see the price of things go up. There are people that are worried about heavy double-digit inflation. So maybe you've got a $10 bill and that used to buy 2 pounds of coffee. But if you get to the place where it only buys 1 pound of coffee, then the value, it's not that the price of the good went up, it's that the value of the dollar went down. And it's in part due to the fact that they just keep on printing this money and giving it away, just giving away money. People aren't, millions of people don't even have an incentive to work right now. They've gotten so much money from the government, they make more by not working. So buy gold and silver, have things that people need. If things really, really, really got bad, people still are going to trade. People are still going to barter. People are going to want and need certain items. And if you have a small reserve of silver coins, gold coins, and you can go online, there's things that people always want. Some of them are ethical, more ethical than others. If you have a wine cellar or little shooters or tobacco products, that some people say, no, you can't do that. Okay, fine. I'm just telling you, there are some things that people are going to want. Toilet paper. We all saw that during COVID, didn't we? So I'm not talking about these things so that we can take advantage of other people or to do anything unethical. But if you have a supply of certain things that people need or want, you are going to be in a position to get certain things that you may need or want in exchange for those things. In the meantime, we're all going to go happily along our way. We're all going to keep on spending our dollars and taking dollars. I don't think this is any crisis that we're going to face in the next week, but we are going to face it. It is going to happen. There is no way around it. No nation can rack up this kind of debt and have it live free of ramifications. I'll be right back. It's not a secret to anybody that President Biden is not all there. By the way, did you see the clip, the insult to the Coast Guard where he was speaking at their graduation? Go ahead and play that.
I can only assume that you will enjoy educating your family about how the Coast Guard is, quote, the hard nucleus around the Navy forms in times of war. You're a really dull class. I mean, come on, man. Is the sun getting to you? I would think you'd have an opportunity when I say that about the Navy to clap, but being here together.
You're a dull group. Wow. He flubbed up a little bit in the speech. He flubbed up the other day where he started to take questions and he wasn't supposed to. And he's saying, well, they told me I'm not supposed to take questions. You're the President of the United States. Who's telling you to not take questions? His staff. Why, or maybe his wife, why would they be telling him to not take questions? Because they know that intellectually he's not all there. And verbally, they're terrified of him giving a soundbite that is either factually inaccurate or worse, where he just stumbles and stutters and it becomes clear that he's melting down intellectually, cognitively. So here's the problem that the Democrats are facing right now. Joe Biden is, in effect, Barack Obama's third term. Okay? Biden has surrounded himself with Obama people. These Obama people know that Joe Biden is not all there intellectually, cognitively. They know it. And so my guess is, I have no hard proof except what I read here and there, the Obamas, literally Barack Obama, is on the phone with different people, different days of the week, talking about how to influence public policy, how to get the job done that he wants done. Now, can you believe that Joe Biden 30 or 40 years ago would have signed an executive order saying that transgender people, that would pave the way for someone to say, I'm identifying as a woman and I want to go to the woman's room, even though I'm a man and I have male genitalia? It's absurd. But Biden has become a shell. He's a prop. So they want to keep that shell in office as long as they can. And the reason is they can control him. They could not, in the same way, they could not control Kamala Harris. No way. Now, I don't know how much she frightens other people. I don't know. I'm talking about Biden people and Obama people. I don't know how much she frightens them. This is a woman who raised $20 million in the primary and bailed out before the first vote was cast. All right? This is somebody who was picked because she's a woman and because she's African American. This was a historic VP pick. But she is so far left and she is aggressive. If she became the president of the United States, I think that there are people, even inside the Democrat machine, that are nervous about what she might do or not do. So the Democrats are in a bit of a pickle. The whole country is in a mess because of the Biden presidency, but they're in a bit of a pickle. Think of how few public appearances Biden makes. Just think about it. They put a lid the other day on the White House at 3:15 in the afternoon. We're done, people. Go home. We're not going to talk to you anymore. When does Biden start his work day? When does he go to bed? This is a man who is not just old. Old isn't the problem. It's that he's frail. Cognitively, intellectually, physically, he is frail. Verbally, it comes out more and more. So they are tickled to have him be in a position where they can just hide him and do what they want to do. And they are taking this nation down paths of evil that are heretofore unknown. All right, I'm gonna do something. I just talked to my company that fulfills our products. You can get my 5 books for free. No cost, no shipping, nothing. Zero. This is not a gimmick. Why? Because I want you to have these books. I want them to be able to change your life. And I promise you, if you read these books, they're not like other books, Christian books, as you've read. I promise you they're not. And then the movie that we did, Muhammad in His Own Words, the documentary, you can have that for a gift of any size. Okay? Just call, make a contribution, and you can have the movie. I've got to take a quick break. I'll be right back. A transgender UFO was spotted over the College of the Ozarks, and a federal judge ordered the college to allow the UFO to identify itself as male, female, or whatever it wanted. I'm about out of time, and I don't have time to discuss UFOs, why they're in the news. I will do it on my next program. But in truth, the College of the Ozarks is getting into deep trouble with the Biden administration because they said, no, if you are biologically a male, then you're going to use the male facilities. And if you're biologically a female, you're going to use the female facilities. We are not going to bow down to this transgender stuff. Now, hopefully they have the guts to stick it out. Their attorney says they're facing a 6-digit fine. That's over $100,000. Friends, I'm telling you, the Biden people, they are coming after Christian education. And they're going to use the transgender bullcrap as their way to attack us. We'll talk about it more next time. God bless you.